As is a tradition of the Jalsa Salana United Kingdom, this is a session where we have various dignitaries who come and give their best wishes to the gathering. And indeed, this afternoon we have a number of dignitaries who will be giving their best wishes to the participants of the Jalsa Salana. Our first guest this afternoon is Councillor Gilly Lewis Lavender. Councillor Gilly Lewis was unanimously elected as the Mayor of Merton for the year 2011 and 2012. Councillor Gilly is representing us at Beth el-Fatou, our main mosque in Morden. She is a Conservative councillor and has served as a councillor in Merton for 11 years. Gilly recently joined us on the marathon walk that was organized by Majlis Ansarullah, and she completed the whole walk. And I'd like to thank her for her participation, and I would like to welcome her to Jalsa Salana and request her to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Holiness, the National President, Your Worships, distinguished guests, brothers and sisters. I am very honoured to be invited here today. I applaud your ethos, love for all, hatred for none. It is magnificent to see so many of you here from more than 50 countries to support this convention. As you have heard, I am the Mayor of Merton, and in the first 9 weeks of my office, I have carried out over 80 visits. And some of these have been to many different places of worship. One thing that all of these bodies have in common is to increase religious knowledge, unity, understanding, and mutual respect. I have visited Scout and Girl Guide packs that are Christian-based, who also teach young people leadership skills and caring for others. They often make trips abroad to support countries in need. I have visited Catholic churches who have rallied together to restore their buildings, to preserve tradition, and to spread the word in a warm and loving environment. I have visited other churches who have welcomed me to concerts and other events to raise money for local deserving charities. Also, I have visited you at the lovely mosque in Morden and taken part in the Ahmadiyyan charity walk. What an amazing experience this was, to be amongst so many people with a common cause, and that is to provide funding for those in difficult situations. And today I have enjoyed my visit here and learning about all the wonderful things you do in different parts of the world. And I feel a much more knowledgeable person, and this is something I take with me and means very much to me. You are an important part of the worldwide community, and I hope and pray that together we can break down barriers in order to have a greater understanding of each other and to work together to achieve peace and a fair and equal world for all. Finally, I wish you all health and happiness. Thank you.
Nara Takbir! Mayor of Merton!
Thank you very much, Councillor Gilly. Our next speaker is come from a long distance to be with us this afternoon. Professor Dr. Kenzbe Kozaknov is a professor of history in the Kazakh National University. He has been very impressed by the teachings of the promised Messiah al-Islam. He is a great friend of the Jamaat, and I would like to welcome him to the stage to come and say a few words. He will address us in Russian, and our missionary will then translate for him.
Assalamu alaikum. Мы члены делегации Ахмадийской общины из Казахстана. Приветствуем всех участников собрания, гостей, особенно нашего руководителя Хазрета и активистов общины, общества здесь. Каждый раз благодаря Аллаху Ахмадийская община набирает силу, растет число ее последователей. По беспредельной милости Аллаха, под руководством его святейшества халифа Хадрата Мирзы Масрура Ахмада, община Ахмадия добивается больших успехов во всем мире. Одним из свидетельств того роста Ахмадийской общины является наше собрание. Хотя реакционные деятели пытаются нанести ущерб его учению, очернить его учение святейшества Хадрата Мирзы Гулама Ахмада, но их постигает справедливая кара Аллаха. Крылья общины Ахмадия широко раскрылись во всех континентах, во всех уголках мира. Люди, миллионы сердец воодушевляются деятельностью джамаата Ахмадия, получают благословение Аллаха в мечетях Ахмадия, ищут спасения в молитвах и честном служении исламу, прославляя Создателя и прося Его о благоденствиях на пророка Мухаммеда. Мир и благословение да пребывает с ним. И всех остальных пророков, посланных Аллахом ко многим народам. Народы должны и могут жить без вражды и ненависти. Аллаху и последователям Ахмадийской общины не угодны злодеяния, стяжательство, гордыня, использование силы для возвеличения того или иного человека. Священный Коран призывает всех к скромности, честности и согласию. Мы особенно воодушевлены речью нашего лидера, который призывает к честности, к правдивости и праведности. Аллах не любит ложь и алчность. Мы это видим на примере богохульствующих в религиозных святынях, порицающих заповеди Аллаха, подавляющих слабые меньшинства, творивших геноцид и преступления против человечности. В наших глазах несут наказание те тираны, которые грабят свой народ, пытаются узурпировать власть. Ислам отвергает насилие, и мы всем сердцем молим Аллаха не допустить террористических актов, приносящих мирным людям гибель и страдания. И большая хвала и честь, что в больницах и поликлиниках, возведенных общиной Ахмадия, лечатся тысячи и тысячи обездоленных и жертв различных обстоятельств и испытаний. Аллах создал людей, чтобы они овладели законами природы, совершенствовали свои знания для блага каждого человека и для всего общества. Поэтому мы гордимся тем, что община Ахмадия открывает школы, учебные заведения, выпускает журналы и газеты, по всему миру выпускает Коран и другие книги по религиозному воспитанию человечества. Свет истины вещает спутниковый религиозный ТВ-канал МТА, который доступен для всех жителей планеты. Мы преисполнены веры, благородные идеалы. Наш народ, казахстанский народ, терпим и старается создать все условия для нормальной деятельности различных религий мира. Наша республика пытается вносить свой достойный вклад в благое развитие всех стран земного шара по пути процветания и счастья всего человечества. Хвала Аллаху единому, независимому и исковому. Джамаат Ахмадия Зиндабад. Шукран.
Nare Takbir! Nare Takbir!
Thank you very much. And I'll request a translation, please.
हमारे मुअज़्ज़ज़ मेहमान मुकर्रम किंग साहिब ने अपने मुख्तसर खिताब में कहा है, हम कज़ाकिस्तान के वफ़द के मेंबरान दुनिया भर से आए हुए अहमदी मुसलमान भाई बहनों की खिदमत में सलाम अर्ज़ करते हैं। अल्लाह के फ़ज़ल से हर साल हमारी जमात मज़बूत होती चली जा रही है। जमात अहमदिया के मेंबरान की तादाद में रोज़ बरोज़ इजाफ़ा हो रहा है और जमात हज़रत मिर्ज़ा मसरूर अहमद खलीफतुल-मसीह ख़ामिस की रहनुमाई में कामयाबियाँ समेट रही है। गो दुश्मन हर चंद हज़रत मसीह मौद की पाकीज़ा तालीमात पर पर्दा डालने और उनको छुपाने की कोशिश करता रहता है। अफराद जमात को नुकसान पहुँचाने में कोई कसर उठा नहीं रखता। इसके बावजूद जमात अहमदिया अपने रूहानी परों की मदद से सारी दुनिया में फैलती चली जा रही है। लाखों अफराद दुनिया में जमात अहमदिया के अमली इक़दामात से बहुत मुतासिर हैं, क्योंकि वो जानते हैं कि अब अहमदिया मसाजिद के साथ ही अल्लाह के अफ़ज़ाल वाबस्ता हैं, क्योंकि अहमदी अल्लाह की तस्बीह बयान करते हैं और रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम पर दुरूद भेजते हैं, नीज़ तमाम अम्बिया को कदर की निगाह से देखते हैं। सब लोगों को यकीनन नफ़रत और दुश्मनी के बगैर ज़िंदगी गुजारनी चाहिए। अल्लाह ताला को जुल्म व जौर, तकब्बुर और एक दूसरे के ख़िलाफ़ ताकत का इस्तेमाल करके ज़बरदस्ती अपना मौक़िफ़ मनाने जैसे अफ़आल बहुत नापसंदीदा हैं। कुरान करीम इंसान को आजिज़ी, इनकिसारी, अमन व आश्ती का दर्स देता है, जबकि इंसान जानते बूझते हुए गुमराही और लालच में पड़कर दोनों जहानों में मुसीबत और अज़ियत के सामान पैदा करता है, जिसका मुशाहिदा हम उन लोगों के गलत नमूनों को देखकर करते हैं जो मज़हबी मुक़द्दस मकामात की हद तक करने की कोशिश करते रहते हैं। अल्लाह ताला की तालीमात के बारे में ज़ुबान दराज़ी से काम लेते हैं, कमज़ोरों और बेबस लोगों पर जुल्म करते हैं और इंसानियत के ख़िलाफ़ जराइम का इर्तिकाब करते हैं। हमारी नज़र में ऐसे लोग अपने लिए अज़ाब को पुकारते हैं। इस्लाम जबर के ख़िलाफ़ है। हम अल्लाह ताला के हुज़ूर दुआगो हैं कि वो दहशतगर्दी जैसे वाक़यात ना हों जिनमें पुरअमन लोगों की जान जाती है। अल्लाह ताला ने इंसान को फितरत के कवानीन पर अमल करने के लिए पैदा किया है, ता इनफरादी और इज्तिमाई दोनों लिहाज से अपना इल्म बढ़ाए। इसीलिए जमात अहमदिया मुख्तलिफ़ स्कूल खोल रही है और कुतुब व अखबारात का इजरा कर रही है। इस सिलसिला में सबसे अहम काम कुरान करीम के तराजिम, अहादीस व हज़रत इस्लाम की कुतुब को फैलाने का काम हो रहा है। MTA के ज़रिए से हक़ व सदाकत का नूर दुनिया के तमाम बर्रे आज़मों में फैल रहा है। हम काज़े कौम सारी दुनिया के इंसानों की फलाह, बहबूद और खुशहाली और कामयाबी के लिए दुआगो हैं।
Jazakallah. Our next honoured guest this afternoon is Mayor Councillor Amrit Man. Councillor Amrit Man was elected as the new mayor of Hounslow and represents Heston East. Councillor Mann has lived in Hounslow since 1985 and has worked as a lawyer. He is a member of Amnesty International and has taken part in the human rights charities London to Birmingham sponsored bike ride. A very good friend of the community, and I would like to welcome Mayor Amrit Man to our Jalsa Salana and would like to request him to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Holiness, Hazrat Mirza Mansoor Ahmed, National President, fellow mayors, MPs, dignitaries, and members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community at today's event. I am truly honored to be here with you. I'm delighted to see so many friends from the Ahmadiyya Muslim community here, also from the London Borough of Hounslow, who we've worked with over many years, and some of us have worked very closely for a large number of years. The work that the Ahmadiyya community does in Hounslow has been absolutely fantastic. They have participated in many of the natural disasters which have occurred over the world. They have partaken in the Kashmir earthquake event. They have participated in the Pakistan flood relief effort. They have also, many of you probably seen the large buses which carry love for all, hatred for none. That campaign started in Hounslow. It started at the Civic Centre. I can truly say that my fellow councillors and those people who participated from the Ahmadiyya community have something to be proud of, because this message, love for all, hatred for none, is a universal message, a message that needs to be moved out beyond the Ahmadiyya community into the wider public. It's a message for all religions, all communities, and I'm proud that I'm here with you today sharing that with you. The Ahmadiyya community has been persecuted. As a human rights lawyer, I feel greatly aggrieved that the world hasn't done much more than just offer up sympathy. We need to do more through the United Nations wherever people are oppressed for their religious beliefs, for their political beliefs, for their race, for their religion, for their caste, for their creed. It is something that we need to work together. The media community is a law-abiding community. It is a vibrant community. It is an economic, successful community. This community has played its proper and rightful part in Britain today, having set up things like Humanity First, which is a non-political organization to raise money for wherever it is needed for relief efforts. I hope this work will continue. They will have my full support, my fellow councillors' full support, and in the years to come, we look forward to working with them more and more. May I wish you continued peace and friendship. God bless you. Thank you.
Nara Takbir! Mayor of Hounslow, Insaniyat!
Thank you very much. Our next honored guest is Councillor Richard Gates. Richard is the Mayor of Waverly, a close neighbor to our center in Islamabad, Tilford. He has lived in Bramley for 30 years. He worships at the Holy Trinity, Bramley, and is member of the Parish Council and governor at Bramley Infant School. He was the leader of Waverly Borough Council from May 2007 until May 2010, having previously been the leader of Conservative opposition. I would like to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Holiness, National Chairman, fellow mayors and chairmen, distinguished guests, members of the Ahmadiyya community, it is a great honor to be here today to address this extremely successful convention. The Borough of Waverly is a close neighbor to this convention here, and indeed for many years the convention took place within the Borough of Waverly at your community settlement in Tilford. Our good friends from Islamabad, I hope many are here, and we regard them as our very good friends and as our most welcome residents of the Borough of Waverly. I admire your community, your creed, love for all, hatred for none. And I admire your leadership in this difficult world that we live in. Thank you for that. May I wish the convention continued success and a happy conclusion. Khuda Hafiz.
Narae Takbir! Mayor of Waverly!
Thank you very much. Our next honored guest is Mr. Kalmar Raza. Mr. Raza is the General Secretary of the UK-Pakistan Chamber of Commerce and Trade, a very prominent businessman in the United Kingdom, a social leader, and a very close friend of the community. I would like to welcome Mr. Raza to the Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। आप तमाम लोगों को मेरा सलाम। और सबसे पहले मैं मुबारकबाद पेश करता हूँ जमात अहमदिया को उनके 45वें इस जलसे के इनेकाद पर। और जिस तरह से इतनी बड़ी तादाद में जलसा ऑर्गेनाइज़ किया जाता है, इससे पता चलता है कि वाकई इनकी आला सोच और आला क़यादत की अक्कासी होती है। इससे इस वक्त मुसलमानों को इंतहाई चैलेंज का सामना है। मुसलमानों पे इल्ज़ाम दहशतगर्दी का है, हालांकि इस्लाम दहशतगर्दी का नहीं, इस्लाम भाईचारे का नाम है। और जिस तरह से जमात अहमदिया मुनज़्ज़म तरीके से प्रोग्राम कराते हैं, उससे इस्लाम की असल शक्ल सामने आती है। तो मैं इस मौके पे आप सबको मुबारकबाद पेश करता हूँ। खुदा हाफिज़।
नारे तकबीर! इस्लाम अहमदियत! जनाबे कमर रजा!
Our next respected guest is Mr. Mohammed Server. Mr. Server, over the years, has become a very good personal friend as well. Mr. Server is most senior Pakistani media journalist in the United Kingdom. He is the former editor of the Jung newspaper and now chief editor of the Nation newspaper, one of the leading papers in the UK and Europe. He's a great supporter and friend of the Jamaat, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. First of all, I would like to congratulate Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad Sahab, Jamaat Ahmadiyya, and the thousands followers of the Jamaat for holding this unique and very successful 45th annual convention, which provides ample best opportunity to see, to meet, and to discuss to thousands of God-loving people across the planet. We are all gathered here to praise Almighty Allah for His unprecedented and unmatchable kindness to all of us. Every event and every gathering which glorifies Khudawand Quddus pleases Him. That is the reason that Islam attaches much more importance to attending mosque for congregational prayers, which are the best way to offer all 5 daily prayers. हकीकत भी यही है कि कोई इज्तिमा जिसमें खुदा का जिक्र ना हो, जिसको उसके हबीब का जिक्र ना हो, वो जिक्र, वो महफिल बेकार साबित होती है, जिसका कोई फ़ायदा ना हो, जिससे कोई सवाब दारैन हासिल ना हो। ऐसी इज्तिमा को खुद इस्लाम ने मुमानियत की है उसकी और उसकी मुखालफत की है। The Prophet, peace be upon him, urged his followers to attend congregational prayers in mosque, using every method to make them eager to do so. He is authentically reported to have said, and the Quran Majid is the witness of it, as one walks to the mosque, every time he lifts one foot to make a step, he is credited with one good deed, a sin is removed from his, and his standing with the God is raised one step ahead. Even Prophet, peace be upon him, disliked those gatherings where people were oblivious of their duties. He looked unfavorably at any gathering in which God is not glorified. And mashallah, this congregation is contrary to that fact. यहाँ अल्लाह का जिक्र भी होगा, उसके बंदों का जिक्र भी होगा, उसके हबीब का भी जिक्र होगा. और आज जो हम लोगों को चैलेंजेस दरपेश हैं, मैं समझता हूँ उनका भी हम लोग अहाता करेंगे. हम लोग यहाँ जो जमा हुए हैं वो दुनिया के कोने कोने से जमा हुए हैं. ये एक ऐसा इज्तिमा है जो दूसरों के लिए भी एक मिसाल साबित होगा. मेरा ख्याल ये है कि मैं अपनी स्पीच को थोड़ा सा मुख्तसर रखूं, क्योंकि अभी और भी बहुत सारे मुकर्रीन हैं आपके. बहरहाल आखिर में सिर्फ मैं इतना कहूँगा, God and his beloved prophets love those who love the creation of Allah. अल्लाह के बंदों से जो मोहब्बत करता है, अल्लाह उससे मोहब्बत करता है. He wants us to be obedient and love each other. So love everyone and hate none. And I like this real slogan and its spirit, which is a motto of Jamaat-e-Ahmadiyya. Thanks and Khuda Hafiz. अल्लाह हम सबको अपनी अमान में और अपनी खुशी में शामिल करे. बहुत शुक्रिया.
नारे तकबीर. पाक मोहम्मद मुस्तफ़ा. Mr. Server.
Our next honored guest is Andrew Johnson. Andrew is the Advocacy Director at the Christian Solidarity Worldwide. CSW is a human rights organization which specializes in religious freedom and promotes religious liberty for all. CSW aims to influence governments and other bodies on religious freedom to ensure that the voice of the persecuted is heard in the international arena. Recently, CSW took a trip to Indonesia and prepared a very comprehensive report from the victims of the persecution, who were persecuted in Indonesia. And this report was presented both to the House of Parliament in the United Kingdom and to the European Parliament. I would like to welcome Andrew Johnson to our convention and request him to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Holiness, distinguished guests, members of the Ahmadi community, thank you for this opportunity to address the convention. I'm very honored to be here with you, representing Christian Solidarity Worldwide. As an advocacy organization promoting religious freedom for all, CSW has worked with the Ahmadi community in the UK, and our advocates have met with Ahmadi victims of persecution in Pakistan and Indonesia. We have been joining Pakistani Ahmadis in their calls for justice for well over a decade. Our staff have great respect for those we know personally and admiration for the way in which the community as a whole pursues justice with such unity and excellence. CSW's work brings its staff into contact with some of the most violent and tragic examples of religious persecution around the world. In Pakistan, those undoubtedly include the attacks against Ahmadis. I think particularly of the double bombings in Lahore on the 28th of May last year, and of the 80 or more innocent worshippers who were killed. Or the 2005 massacre in Mong, which is still remembered so vividly by so many. Our East Asia team leader, Ben Rogers, was in Indonesia earlier this year, speaking with the victims of the horrific attack in Chikusik, Banten province, which took place on the 6th of February, and from others who were expressing their concern at the deteriorating religious freedom situation in Indonesia. He's already made significant progress in raising awareness of their situation. As you heard, just this month, a European Parliament resolution was passed on attacks against minorities in Indonesia, and CSW was instrumental in initiating and drafting it. We worked closely with the Ahmadi community on an early day motion in the House of Commons, and Ben recently addressed the Ahmadi All-Parliamentary Group recently. There is great strength in this partnership. After hearing the shocking stories of 4 Ahmadi men's experience in Chikusik, Ben told them what he could do to offer in terms of help and support. One man smiled and told Ben, "As you advocate for us, we will pray for you." Ben replied, "If you pray for me while I advocate for you, I will also pray for you, that your community can live and practice your faith in Indonesia in freedom and peace, with dignity and equal rights." There was a special bond between them, a mutual pledge to pray for each other that symbolizes our solidarity with you in the struggle for religious freedom in Indonesia and around the world. Thank you very much.
Nare Takbir! Shohadai Ahmadiyyat! Andrew Johnston!
Our next eminent guest is Maqsood Ahmed, OBE. Maqsood, again, is a very good friend of the community and also a personal friend. In 2003, Maqsood was awarded the OBE for his work as the first Muslim advisor in the prison service. In 2008, he was a recipient of Al-Baruni Muslim News Award for excellence for contributions made to community relations. As I mentioned, Maqsood is a long-standing friend of the community, and such it gives me great pleasure to welcome him. I'd request him to come and say a few words, and also he bears a message from Right Honourable Eric Pickles, Secretary of State for Communities. Maqsood Ahmed.
Your Holiness, Mirza Masroor Ahmed, President Rafiq Hayat Sahab, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, let me take this opportunity to congratulate Jamaat-e-Ahmadiyya and its leadership for the 45th Jalsa Salana, and most important, the logistic and the tanzeem, which I use the word Urdu, that organization which you have used. And I always advocate to the rest of the community that if you want to learn the manners of logistics and manners of respect and organization, learn from Jamaat-e-Ahmadiyya. It is also an honor to be speaking to my brothers and sisters who came from 50+ countries in this holy gathering. And I echo the word, wherever there is a zikr Allah, zikr Rasul, and his good people, that is a holy gathering. Let me come to the message from the Right Honourable Eric Pickle, Secretary of State for Communities and Local Government. And I quote, "I am pleased to send you my message on behalf of the department. Your annual convention brings together people in spirit of unity, brotherhood, and peace. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community can be proud of its success in promoting and fostering good relation, and I convey my best wishes to you over this weekend," unquote. My personal message is that Alhamdulillah, Jamaat-e-Ahmadiyya has many good friends, many good supporters, and those supporters need to start to actualizing their support rather than just the verbal support. And my wish and my dua that may Allah protect you and protect us, all of us. Wama alayna illa al-balagh.
Narae Takbir! Islam Ahmadiyyat! Maqsood Ahmad Obi!
Jazakallah. Now we have a number of messages from prominent leaders, and I'd request Fareed Ahmed to come and read some of them. Fareed.
Assalamu alaikum. We have a number of messages from dignitaries in the UK, and I would like to read a few of them. First one is from the Right Honourable Ed Miliband MP, the Leader of the Opposition, and he writes, "Dear friends, I would like to send you my best wishes on the occasion of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association UK's annual convention. As you gather together in peace to celebrate your faith, I would like to thank you for the work your community does here in Britain. Your work helps to exemplify the importance of serving our local communities, a value which is at the heart of your faith and of our British culture." Signed, Ed Miliband, Leader of the Opposition. We also have a message from another Minister in Government, Justine Greening MP, and she's the Minister for Putney, where the Fazl Mosque is based. She writes, "To His Holiness and the worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim community, I am so very sorry that I am not able to attend this year's Jalsa Salana, but I want to send my warmest wishes to the convention. I was hoping to attend on Friday, but I was asked by the Chancellor of the Exchequer to stand in for him to make an important policy announcement on the establishment of the Coastal Communities Fund. I have very much enjoyed attending the convention in previous years, and it is unfortunate that this unavoidable event came up at the last minute. I do hope it is as much of a success as it has been in previous years, and I do believe that the Ahmadiyya community's message of love for all, hatred for none, is one that is incredibly important to us all. I believe that with respect and understanding for one another, we can help pull our community together. With warmest wishes, Justine Greening MP." We also have a message of support from the Canadian Foreign Minister, and it reads, "Canadian Foreign Minister Baird has asked me, the High Commissioner of Canada, to deliver the following message on his behalf. Jamaat Ahmadiyya has a very important role to play in promoting the values of peace, tolerance, and understanding throughout the world, and I wish you all the very best for a successful, inspiring, and thought-provoking annual convention." And that message was delivered on behalf of the Foreign Minister by His Excellency Mr. James Wright, the High Commissioner of Canada to the United Kingdom. We also have a message from the Attorney General, the Right Honourable Dominic Grieve MP, the Attorney General for the UK. And he sends his apologies for the event, but says that, "I have always greatly enjoyed attending and would very much like to have come again this year. And I hope that the convention will be a great success. I look forward to maintaining my contact with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association over the coming months, either in Morden or perhaps next year down at the Jalsa in Hampshire." And that's from the Right Honourable Dominic Grieve MP. Another special message has come from Siobhan McDonough MP, who is the chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group for the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in the United Kingdom. And she writes, "I am delighted to have this opportunity to send a message of support to you for your annual convention. I'm very sorry that due to pre-existing family commitments, I cannot be there with you today, but I hope your celebrations are a great success. I'm very fortunate to have very strong links with the community, both locally and nationally. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community is a very active player in the community, especially for your amazing works in charity, both through your own charity, Humanity First, and through other fundraising organizations for work organisations like the British Legion. I was proud that your latest fundraising walk was in my constituency, and even more proud when I learned that you had raised nearly £200,000. It was a great privilege to be there. Your message of loyalty, freedom and peace is an example to us all and reflects the importance you attach to promoting peace and social cohesion in the wider community. The Beit al-Futuh Mosque in Morden, which so many of my constituents attend, is a symbol of successful integration, and I am pleased to have a very good relationship with that mosque. Clearly, there are extremely worrying times as a result of the persecution faced by the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in Pakistan and Indonesia. The brutal murders in Indonesia in February were a horrific reminder of how Ahmadi Muslims are still persecuted simply on grounds of faith. After last year's Lahore massacre, I felt it critical to give these concerns the profile they deserve, and that is why I organised the parliamentary debate on the persecution of the Ahmadiyya Muslim communities, and why I established the all-party parliamentary group. The parliamentary group has met 3 times and hosted an event on extremism that was very successful. I also tabled an early day motion in Parliament on Indonesia that has the support of many MPs. And she ends her message by saying that Britain has a proud record of tolerance and freedom of religion, and my message to the world is this, that people have every right to follow any faith or no faith. No one should be persecuted on grounds of faith, and the Ahmadi Muslims are no exception. By supporting your rights, we uphold the rights of all citizens, and that is a cause that can and should never be taken lightly. We have also received a message from a member of the House of Lords, Lord Alton, and he writes, "Dear friends and supporters of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, thank you for turning out today to support the great work of the community. He is a crossbench peer with 33 years parliamentary experience, and he has engaged in human rights on an international level, most notably in the Congo, Sudan, North Korea, China, and most recently in Pakistan." And he writes, "Over this time it has become clear to me that the best barometer for the human rights situation in any country is how freely and easily its people, and especially its minorities, can express their faith. It is great sadness that, contrary to the vision of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Pakistan treats its minorities so badly. The Ahmadis must be given the same civil rights as any other citizen of Pakistan and accorded the right to worship freely without fear or reprisal, and I am privileged to stand resolutely with all those who are committed to achieving this." And that's from Lord David Alton, a member of the House of Lords. We also have a message from another Member of Parliament, Zach Goldsmith MP, who's the Member of Parliament for Richmond Park and North Kingston. And he writes, "I am very sorry that I am not able to be with you in person today. It is a fantastic that once again the annual convention is bringing together over 30,000 people in the name of that most prized but sadly rare commodity, peace. Ahmadiyya Muslims play such an important part in our society. Their charitable work this year alone has raised almost £500,000 for British charities, and in addition the money raised for those caught in the Pakistan floods last year. They continue to support their local communities through social work and by assisting elderly and homelessness. Having integrated into the community in a positive way, but without losing sight of their strong identity, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community have spread a message of peace, loyalty, respect and equality. The Prime Minister, the Right Honourable David Cameron MP, has voiced his admiration for the group, and I too am glad to lend my enthusiastic support to a community whose message is one of peace. Regardless of race or religious preference, prejudice has no place in our society today. Cohesion between different people of different faiths is a prerequisite for a stable and peaceful society and is something we should all pursue." Signed, Zach Goldsmith, the Member of Parliament for Richmond and North Kingston. We also have a special message from Boris Johnson, the Mayor of London, and he writes, "I am happy to provide the message of support for the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association's 45th annual convention. I commend the work of the Ahmadiyya Muslim organization that they are doing for community cohesion in London. The Muslim community in London has made a huge contribution to the economic, social and cultural life of London, and I would like to see it continue and thrive. I wish you all the very best with your Love for All, Hatred for None campaign. I hope the convention is a fantastic success and would like to take this opportunity to extend my warmest good wishes to all connected with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association." Signed, Boris Johnson, Mayor of London. We also have a message from a member of the European Parliament, Godfrey Bloom, who's the member for Yorkshire and North Lincolnshire. And he says, "Thank you so much for your generous invitation to attend. Unfortunately, I'm unable to join you, and my assistant is also fully engaged that weekend. I am proud to be able to support your work and greatly admire your stance of love for all, hatred for none. Persecuted as you are, with martyrs in Pakistan, you can still manage to remain at peace with the world. This is an example to the rest of us, which we can take to heart. In addition to this, you also managed, through your sacrificial giving of assets and time, to bring relief to parts of the world in trouble. I note your current work among the victims of the earthquake in Japan." Signed, Godfrey Bloom, Member of the European Parliament. We also have a message from Jason McCartney, Member of Parliament for Colne Valley in the north of England. He says, "Dear National President, I am sorry but I am unable to attend your Jalsa Salana, but I hope you have a peaceful and successful event. I was honoured to meet the Huddersfield Ahmadiyya Muslim community at the request of Mr. Fatihul Haq, President of Ahmadiyya Muslim Association, Huddersfield. I warmly support your message of peace, equality, respect, freedom and loyalty." Jason McCartney, MP.
Thank you very much. Our next respected guest joins us from Denmark. Kumal Qureshi is a spokesman on the minority and human rights issues for the Danish Socialist People's Party. Rights. I would like to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana and would request him to come and say a few words.
Thank you for this invitation. I feel privileged to be able to address the Ahmadi community on the behalf of my party and as a member of the Danish Parliament. I had a walk yesterday through East London. Just on this rather short walk, I saw two beautiful mosques built for the purpose of prayer and reflection. I couldn't help myself thinking that in Copenhagen, where I'm from, we still have to celebrate our Eid and other holidays in sports arenas, old workshops and small apartments. In Copenhagen, we still don't have a mosque built for the purpose of prayer and reflection. And even today, influential Danish political leaders regard all mosques as a breeding ground for terrorism. Even though the government in Denmark speaks of religious freedom and diversity, we still have a long way before there is a mosque where Muslims can pray and a graveyard where Muslims can be buried according to their beliefs, and not in a corner of a Christian graveyard. The tragedy in Oslo has put us all in deep sorrow, especially us from the Scandinavian countries who share strong links with the Norwegian friends. Unfortunately, the debate was immediately to point out the culprits as Muslims. The fact shows that it was an attack from a Christian right-wing person. That just shows that religion is not the base for terror attack. People are the base of terror attack. The respect for religious diversity is unfortunately not only lacking in Danish politics. When I was a medical student in Copenhagen, there was a wish to establish a union for students with Pakistani heritage. It was a good idea, and I supported it. But already at the first meeting, it was demanded from few dominant persons that Ahmadi students should not be allowed membership of this union. I had a hard time understanding this argument, as it was an attempt to build a Pakistani association, and I feel it's a contradiction when a minority group starts their meeting by excluding another minority. Unfortunately, we did not bridge our disagreement, and I ended up building another union with a more inclusive agenda. You can say that our agenda was very much as your love for all, hatred for none. Religion brings out the best in people, but unfortunately also the worst in some people. There are people that are persecuted because of their beliefs as we speak. Some people see their search for religious truth as hatred against others. Every year, we see attacks against Ahmadis around the world. Just last year, we saw several attacks in Pakistan. The more Pakistan is sinking into poverty and despair, the more is religious extremism growing. I have every time taken steps to protest against the lack of adequate response from the Pakistani government against persecution of religious minorities in Pakistan. Religious acceptance and tolerance doesn't come by itself, unfortunately, neither locally in our communities nor at the national or global level. On the contrary, it is something we need to fight for in our daily lives. When somebody tries to exclude others from participation because of their religious beliefs, we need to speak up. Whether this takes place in our children's kindergarten, at our universities, our workplaces, or at the local market. But we also need to commit our political and religious leaders to act against persecution, whether it is at community level, national level, or global level. Only thereby can we create a world with respect for religious diversity and tolerance, a world with love for all and hatred for none. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we will just wait a couple of minutes as Zureptas is arriving into the marquee, and then we'll continue with this session.
Narae Takbir! Narae Takbir! Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa! Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa! Islam Ahmadiyat! Islam Ahmadiyat!
Chief रखें
Beloved Hazur, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Our next guest this afternoon is Mr. Samuel Steve. Samuel is the Chief of Staff of the Vice President of Liberia. Today, Samuel brings a message from the President of Liberia, and I would like to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum, Your Holiness.
as you observe the 45th Jalsa Salana here in the beautiful city of London, I, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, on behalf of the government and people of the Republic of Liberia, extends to you greetings and through you to the millions of Ahmadis around the world. I am pleased to note that the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission in Liberia has been partnering with the government and the people of Liberia since the 1950s, when our late president, Dr. William V.S. Tubman, extended an invitation to the Ahmadiyya Mission to establish a community in Liberia. We in Liberia have always known the Ahmadiyya Muslim community as one that teaches and lives by example when it comes to religious tolerance and contribution to the development of the mind, the body, and the spirit. Over the period of time, Ahmadiyya Mission has established branches in 4 of our 5 regions, working with the government of Liberia to cater to the social welfare of the Liberian people. The mission currently runs 3 elementary schools, a senior high school, and 2 clinics for helping in education and health. A vocational training center is nearing establishment, and at the same time, Humanity First is helping our communities with safe drinking water and processing of cassava products. Your Holiness, the virtues and characteristics that the mission exudes today have always been present in your mission all around the world. Why? Simply because your actions are in consonance with the aims and objectives of your founder. Your founder, who always wanted the mission to be an embodiment of benevolence, peace, universal brotherhood, and submission to the will of God. Indeed, Ahmadiyyas around the world have earned the singular distinction of being a law-abiding, peaceful, persevering, and a benevolent community. Brothers and sisters, I have read that the Ahmadiyya Mission remains the leading Islamic organization that categorically rejects any form of terrorism. That in itself is praiseworthy, especially in these challenging times with violence and eruption happening all over the world today. Thousands of years ago, mankind nearly ruined its relationship with God in an act of disobedience by turning our backs on the commandment of God. Today, we are on the fringes of destroying ourselves again by raining mayhem and murdering innocent people in the misguided name of God. Suicide bombers and the Taliban activities have forever reshaped our world and community, and at the same time are reinforcing negative stereotypes. Religious intolerance, corruption, and greed for power are destroying our communities while turning brother against brother and communities against community. This is certainly not what the Almighty God meant when He asked us to be our brother's keeper. I, however, as President of the Republic of Liberia, am deeply encouraged by the Ahmadiyya Muslim community and its teachings to all of its members to protect the sanctity of both religion and government by becoming righteous souls. Finally, Your Holiness, in a few months, Liberia will be going to the polls in their primary undertaking that will reaffirm our democracy. We will be going to national elections. We solicit the special prayers of all our brothers and sisters for a peaceful and orderly process. Thank you. Congratulations once again as you observe your annual conference.
Nare Takbir! Islam Ahmadiyyat! Mr. Samuel Steve!
Finally, I bring a special gift today from the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Dr. Joseph Van Boakai. I have in my hand here an original carving from Liberia made of local wood. There are 3 figures here representing the 3 major peoples of the world, black, white, and red. And as you can see, they are linked together inseparably. This, for us in Liberia, symbolizes the plight of mankind, that whatever happens to each one or one of these affects the other, signifying again that our destinies are inextricably linked together forever. And these 3 figures hold in their hand a bowl representing the world, presenting it to the Almighty God and praying for peace on all mankind. Your Holiness, if I may, on behalf of the governmental people of Liberia, I'm pleased to present this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nare Takbir! Nare Takbir! Insaniyat!
Thank you very much. Our next respected speaker is Matthew Offord, Member of Parliament. Matthew Offord is a Member of Parliament for Hendon and was elected in 2010. Since being elected just over a year ago, Matthew has taken up a wide range of issues in the House of Commons, such as tackling crime on the street, school security, and settlement for Cyprus. Matthew has strong links with the Ahmadiyya community, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana, and I request him to come and say a few words.
Your Holiness, Mr. President, my lords, dignitaries, constituents, and everyone here today, Assalamu alaikum. It's a great pleasure to be here today at the Jalsa Salana. Having attended the Peace Conference at Morden, I am now even more in awe of the number of people here today. What never surprises me is the force for good which the Ahmadi community are. By encouraging interfaith dialogue through constructive debate and defending pure Islam, you propagate peace, tolerance, and love. And I feel strongly that the choice of religion for every individual is something for that individual alone and should not be dictated to by another. That sense of freedom and commitment to charitable causes shows what a force for good you are for this country. I ask you just to do one thing, and that is continue with that role, being pure in mind, pure in heart, and pure in deed. Truly, love for all and hate for none. Thank you, and I'd like to ask you all to enjoy the rest of Jalsa Salana. Thank you.
Nare Takbir! Matthew Offord, MP.
Thank you, Matthew. Our next eminent speaker this afternoon is Lord Sheikh. Lord Sheikh was raised to the peerage as Baron Sheikh of Cornhill in the City of London in 2006. He has huge experience in finance, economics, and the political sphere. He's also a conservative peer. Lord Sheikh has been honored by the presentation of several personal awards which have been given to him for his achievement, leadership, business success, and humanitarian work. A good friend of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community and a dedicated public servant, I would like to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Your Holiness, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. I was brought up in Uganda, where there were people of different racial and religious background. I learned to speak several languages and developed an understanding as well as respect for all religions. I totally agree with the admirable motto, love for all, hatred for none, which is displayed prominently in front of me. I believe that there are more similarities than differences between people, and we should highlight the similarities in order to establish closer links between communities. I believe it is important to maintain a dialogue between various racial and religious groups and dispel misunderstandings. I also believe the lack of understanding leads to suspicions and divisions between people. Mutual understanding, respect, interfaith dialogue are essential if we are to coexist peacefully. Islam teaches us to celebrate the difference and diversity which God has purposely created in our world. Surah 49, Ayah 13 of the Holy Quran says, O mankind, we have created you from a male and female and made you into nations and tribes, that you may know one another. Verily, the most honorable among you in the sight of Allah is he who has piety and righteousness. Despite the image portrayed in some of today's media, Islam has a long and proud history of tolerance and respect for all faiths. The Holy Quran is clear on this point, stating, let there be no compulsion in religion. And this has been manifest in Muslim civilizations throughout history. When the Muslims were persecuted at the start of our glorious religion, the Muslims escaped to Abyssinia, where they were given refuge by a Christian king who was King Negus. We have come to the United Kingdom, which is a Christian country, and the British people, for all their faults, are generally tolerant, and they have accepted us in this country. It is important that we regard this country as our home and live in peace and harmony with everyone. According to Islam, people of the book are Muslims, Jews, and Christians. The books of Allah are the Holy Quran, the Torah, the Gospel of Jesus, and Psalms of David. I may add that the Holy Quran has an entire chapter which is titled Maryam, Mary, Mother of Jesus. In the Holy Quran, the names of Prophet Moses and Prophet Jesus are mentioned more times than the name of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Finally, I would like to reiterate that there are more similarities between people than differences, and we should all share the same hopes and take actions to maintain and promote peace and harmony between all the communities. Thank you.
Nare Takbir! Lord Sheikh!
Jazakallah. Our final guest this afternoon is Honourable Johan Pearson, the Lord Mayor of Kalmar. Mr. Pearson is the Lord Mayor of Kalmar, Sweden, and is a senior member of the Social Democratic Party. He's a good friend of the Jamaat and campaigns against the human rights breaches and persecution faced by the Ahmadis in different parts of the world. I'd like to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
His Holiness, Your Holiness, members and participants in this Jalsa Salana, Assalamu alaikum. It's a great privilege for me and my wife to be a part of this fantastic gathering. We are really impressed by the warmth and affection shown to us by all we have met. Our connection with the Ahmadiyya Muslims goes back to a long time, and in fact in Kalmar, Sweden, the Ahmadiyya Muslim and we are formidable partners in upholding the rights and dignity of humanity. Kalmar has been especially honored by the visits of the fourth Caliph, Hazrat Misra Tahir Ahmad. And as the Mayor of Kalmar, I would like to extend a very warm and official invitation to the present Caliph to visit Kalmar. You have a very dynamic representation for your community in Kalmar and in Sweden, in a person of Nazim Malik, who is a valuable asset for my political party and the City Council for 20 years now. Together we are striving to raise our concern about the violation of human rights and the promotion of tolerance and harmony in various parts of the world, especially Pakistan, Indonesia and Bangladesh. We are also aware of the suffering of those who have been martyred for the sake of their faith and their families. We are also aware of those who have managed to flee from persecution to rebuild their lives in a peaceful and secure environment. I personally feel very concerned about it, and I can assure you my support in the endeavors for their rehabilitation. And I can also feel the pain that you have struggled to the last year. Last year it was Lahar, yesterday it was Norway. Nearly 90 young people was killed by a madman in my sister party in Norway. We all have now to stand up against fanatism and extremism wherever it shows up. I know you have a very full program, and therefore, Your Holiness, in conclusion, I would like to repeat an extract of a message delivered by our late Prime Minister, Honourable Olof Palme, in 1994, in a letter to your community. For the establishment of worldwide peace, it is vital that the freedoms of conscience and expression should be highly respected and observed. A genuine effort should be made to promote international and interfaith understanding with the spirit of tolerance for the establishment of a harmonious world. We have to safeguard the trust that people need to build up societies in which religious freedoms are respected. This message of peace is strongly emphasized in the teachings of the founder of your community, Misra Ghulam Ahmad. His teaching is not only of benefit to Sweden, but to the entire world for the establishment of peace. This was the words from Olof Palme. Now I want also to send a very warm greetings from his successor, the chairman of the Swedish Social Democratic Party, Mr. Håkan Juholt. Thank you for listening.
Nare Takbir! Lord Mayor of Kalmar!
So that brings us to the conclusion of this session.
दुरूद उस मोहसिन पर तो दिन में सौ बार भेज दुरूद उस मोहसिन पर तो दिन में सौ बार पाक मोहम्मद मुस्तफा नबियों का सरदार